Like 5,000 likes to this video, we will implode more patriotic news. Thank you. Obamacare just imploded with sudden second move Trump just made overnight, Libs are. The Senate had their chance to do what was right for Americans and what the President of the United States wanted. Instead, rhinos and Democrats deliberately went against Donald Trump despite the peril that the citizens of this nation are in as a power move against him. Now, for a second time in 24 hours, Trump just pulled the ultimate power play and made a second surprise move overnight that has sent liberals into a complete panic. The American people have been forced to pay for Obamacare and punished for it if they don't or can't participate. That's not acceptable to our president who is for the people and not special interest groups. The government should have never gotten involved in an industry that's part of a free market, and getting it back to what it should have always been is going to take something major. President Trump was the man to make that happen and just did with this latest sudden move. President Trump threatened to end all government payments to lawmaker health insurers if Congress does not pass a new health care bill. He's saying that bailouts for insurance companies are on the chopping block if they don't fix this fast, as a second move to ending bailouts for members of Congress. He also made it very clear to call to attention the fact that Congress lied to the American people for 7 years by saying that if they would elect the GOP they would, in fact, be repealing and replacing the failing Obamacare law. If a new healthcare bill is not approved quickly, bailouts for insurance companies and bailouts for members of Congress will end very soon. Donald J. Trump, at Real Donald Trump, July 29, 2017. This tweet came a day after Senate Republicans, led by Arizona Senator and our favorite traitor, John McCain, failed to get the 51 votes which would have been enough to at least repeal parts of the Affordable Care Act. President Barack Obama's signature health care bill, commonly known as Obamacare, is about to implode with this second huge move Trump said he'll take in stopping the bailouts. The risk of not repealing Obamacare is that it would lead to the enactment of a single-payer European model of insurance. Everyone's health care is then subject to what the government feels is sufficient, except lawmakers, of course. The White House press release on the matter said, Obamacare failure is on the Democrats. Premium and deductible costs are rising and choice and competition are decreasing. As of now, over 1,200 counties will have only one insurance provider available on the individual market next year, and 35,000 individuals will live in counties with no options available at all. Senate Republicans are planning to vote on their version of the long-awaited healthcare replacement bill as early as next week. This is the latest development in the contentious process of dismantling the Affordable Care Act. The unveiling of the Better Care Reconciliation Act sets up another showdown of competing narratives. ACA supporters will accuse Republicans of cutting coverage and reducing benefits, and the GOP will point to a flawed system that is losing insurers and forcing double-digit premium increases on families across the country. This face-off is nothing new. The conversation has played out repeatedly over the past 6 months. But one thing no one seems to be talking about is that Republicans are the only ones attempting to address the rising costs, declining quality of coverage, and increasing lack of choice in the healthcare marketplace. As of now, over 1,200 counties will have only one insurance provider available on the individual market next year, and 35,000 individuals will live in counties with no options available at all. These numbers are expected to increase as insurers finalize their 2018 plans in the upcoming weeks, and yet, Democratic lawmakers have not introduced any major legislation to try and fix the system. They have taken the easy way out, showboating and complaining instead of working on a solution to stabilize the health insurance market. The Democrats' refusal to change current law most likely stems from an unwillingness to admit that the ACA has not lived up to its promises. Conservatives predicted 8 years ago that a government-heavy healthcare system would lead to decreased competition and increased costs. Democrats should not let embarrassment that those predictions came true prevent real solutions and lasting reform. To anyone who has ever wondered what we patriotic red-blooded Americans saw in Donald Trump need to look no further. He isn't in it for what he said he was at the start, the common man and the American people who trust in him for real change. Today he has done what all of us have been saying since day one. If Obamacare is so great, then why did the ones voting on it exempt themselves from it? Please share if you want to see the hacks in Congress on the same healthcare plan they're forcing on the rest of us. Breaking: Mueller was just implicated, here's the sickening reason why? And here it comes, folks. It appears that WikiLeaks has the goods on Mueller and they have just released them. Even though it wasn't bad enough that Robert Mueller, who is the special prosecutor in the liberal media created myth that is the fake Trump-Russia collusion scandal, has been found to have ties to the Trump family because of his former law firm, WilmerHale, which represents Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner. According to WikiLeaks, it now seems that Mueller is also being implicated in a 2009 uranium deal between the Barack Hussein Obama administration and Russia. Yup, you read that correctly, folks. The real collision here was between then-President Obama, his Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and the man who is now supposed to be impartial in his investigation of Trump and the myth that is the Russia collision. Only in politics. The WikiLeaks document reads, 2009 Ambassador Berlin LD. 08 Moscow 521, classified by, your/PRA, Kathleen Wawrinski Perio 12958, reasons 1.4, A, and, G. 1. SBU, this is an action request, Embassy Moscow please see Para 6 and 7, and Embassy Tbilisi please see Para 8. 2. S/NF, background, over 2 years ago Russia requested a 10-gram sample of highly enriched uranium, seized in early 2006 in Georgia during a nuclear smuggling sting operation involving one Russian national and several Georgian accomplices. The seized HU was transferred to U.S. custody and is being held at a secure DOE facility. In response to the Russian request, the Georgian government authorized the United States to share a sample of the material with the Russians for forensic analysis. Director Mueller previously planned to deliver the sample in April, Ref A, but due to a scheduling conflict the trip was cancelled. Embassy Moscow Legat informed the FSB prior to Mueller's intended April delivery and received confirmation that the FSB would take custody of the sample after the director's plane landed. ESD Moscow also informed Rosatom of the planned transfer and that the U.S. placed a high priority on completing this transfer. Ref B. Once the Legat told FSB counterparts the April trip had been cancelled, Ambassador Brill informed Igor Neverov, Ref C, who said that he understood but was disappointed the trip was postponed. The September 21 visit provides again an opportunity to deliver the requested 10-gram sample from the seized HU in order to obtain cooperation from the GRU on this nuclear smuggling case and to eventually establish a more productive mechanism of U.S. Russian cooperation on nuclear forensics. 3. S/NF, while there was a reasonable exchange of information with Russian security services at the time of the 2006 seizure, we have had poor cooperation investigating the diversion of HU, which the United States believes was stolen from a Russian facility. Russia did not respond to papers that then acting U.S. RUD provided Deputy Foreign Minister Ryabkov in December 2008 reiterating the USG position that Russia should pick up this sample in the United States. Further, when asked for an update on their response to our proposal, Ryabkov told us in early 2009 in Washington that there was an interagency dispute over who would come and pick up the material. 4. S/NF, given Russia's reluctance to act so far, FBI Mueller's delivery of this sample will underscore to Russia our commitment to follow through on this case. While some details related to the sharing of information on smuggling networks may be too sensitive to discuss, delivery of the sample could enable us to discuss whether Russian authorities investigated the diversion and prosecuted anyone. Moreover, we hope it will spark discussions on mechanisms to exchange information and material on future incidents of this nature, particularly in light of the commitments made in the July summit U.S. Russia joint statement on nuclear cooperation regarding strengthening our cooperation to stop acts of nuclear terrorism. Post should note that DOE/NSA's April 2009 determination authorizing distribution of the sample to the Russian Federation only for attribution of the sample in support of a criminal investigation is applicable to the proposed September 21 delivery of the sample to Russia. 5. S/Real Russia, background count. On April 16, the FSB verbally confirmed to Legat that we will have no problem with the Russian Ministry of Aviation concerning Mueller's flight, although we probably won't see paperwork until shortly before the trip. The FBI is requiring that the sample be turned over to a Russian law enforcement authority, that is, FSB, as opposed to an intelligence service, that is, SVR, or technical authority, that is, Rosatom. A representative from the responsible Russian law enforcement authority, who will accept custody of the sample, must be identified and verified ahead of time. That individual will be required to have signatory authority to accept the sample. Appropriate arrangements need to be made to ensure the transfer of material is conducted at the airport, planeside, upon arrival of the director's aircraft. Post should also remind the GER that this is the material about which the GER gave the U.S. non-proliferation assurances in 2008 in a diplomatic note from February 2008, Ref D. 6. S/Real Russia, action request. Embassy Moscow is requested to alert at the highest appropriate level the Russian Federation that FBI Director Mueller plans to deliver the HU sample once he arrives to Moscow on September 21. Post is requested to convey information in paragraph 5 with regard to chain of custody, and to request details on Russian Federation's plan for picking up the material. Embassy is also requested to reconfirm the April 16 understanding from the FSB verbally that we will have no problem with the Russian Ministry of Aviation concerning Mueller's September 21 flight clearance. 7. S/Real Russia. Post is requested to deliver the following talking points. We wish to inform you that FBI Director Mueller plans to arrive in Moscow on the evening of September 21 with a 10-gram sample of SIS-2, which you requested for nuclear forensics analysis. We regret that the April visit by Director Mueller could not take place due to a scheduling conflict. We would be grateful once again for the Russian Federation's willingness to receive the sample and facilitate the logistics for its pickup. As before, we require confirmation that a representative from a responsible Russian law enforcement authority will be available to accept custody of the sample and have signatory authority to accept the sample. We require that the transfer of this material be conducted at the airport, on the tarmac nearby the plane, upon arrival of the director's aircraft. We place a high priority on completion of this sample transfer to facilitate your forensic analysis of the material. Further, with the delivery of this sample, we hope to collaborate more closely on promoting a more effective relationship between our law enforcement organizations to counter illicit trafficking of nuclear materials. In particular, such efforts were underscored in the July Summit Joint Presidential Statement on Nuclear Cooperation regarding our commitments to strengthen cooperation to stop acts of nuclear terrorism. Securing vulnerable nuclear materials and improving nuclear security within our two countries is our highest priority. It is our hope to eventually establish a more systematic mechanism to facilitate U.S. Russian cooperation on investigations into nuclear smuggling cases. We continue to believe that Russia should be concerned by the prospect that HE was diverted from one of its facilities, and should actively investigate the incident. 8. S/Real Georgia. For Embassy Tbilisi, no action is required at this point. As before, State will send instructions at the appropriate time on alerting the Georgian government when the transfer of the SIS-2 is imminent and in Russian custody. 9. U. Department thanks Post for its assistance. Washington point of contacts are Mike Curry, ISN/WMDT, 2027367692, Curry Mr. at state.gov.gov, and Nate Young, your, PRA, 2026477278, Young NH at state.gov.gov. Please sluggle responses for your, ISN/WMDT, and T. Clinton. All this just goes to prove once again that the left just can't seem to fathom the idea that their candidate, Crooked Hillary Clinton, got shellacked by an outsider like Donald J. Trump. They will never give up the fight. Since they can't beat Republicans in the arena of ideas, that's what they do to win. That's how they rally their troops. It's all about mob rule over substance. I find it unconscionable that we have a special prosecutor for this fake narrative, but we never had one when President Barack Hussein Obama and crooked Hillary Clinton decided to leave our ambassador and 3 Navy SEALs to die in Benghazi. Nor when he was found to be using the IRS as a weapon to take out his political enemies such as the Tea Party. Oh yeah, that's right, the American lamestream media was too busy carrying his water to actually do its job and sound the alarm that Barry Obama was doing what Richard Nixon couldn't even do in his wildest dreams. Please share if you want your file. Trump-hating teacher tells border agent she doesn't have to listen, gets wrecked seconds later. Ever since Donald Trump was elected, the left has been pushing the lie that he is racist, and so are his supporters. The left is basing this fable on the fact that Donald Trump wants to build a wall along the southern border, and deport those here legally back to their home countries. Of course, this is hardly a racist policy, but rather just enforcing the laws already in America to make our country safer. Instead of liberals understanding that these are just the law of the land, they have decided to push back in a movement called the resistance. These social justice warriors believe they are above the law, as was demonstrated in a video recently uploaded onto social media. In the video, one middle school teacher refused to answer a border agent's questions about her citizenship and was promptly schooled. Teachers have a tremendous responsibility to the youth of America. They mold young minds and open the doors to new ideas that they may have never thought they had. They are the ones that help bring forth the next generation that can make a difference in our country. However, there are teachers that believe that America is the root of evil, and cannot stand what this country was founded on. These teachers are often found indoctrinating the youth of the country to hate America and all that it stands for. This has been demonstrated time and again on college campuses across the country by professors with their liberal agendas. Now, it is being discovered in high schools and middle schools across the country, and it will only get worse. A San Diego middle school teacher named Shane Promley was detained for over an hour for refusing to tell agents if she was a U.S. citizen or not. Parmley, who teaches English, art and theater, didn't think she needed to answer the agent's questions and quickly learned that was a big mistake. Watch the video here. According to BizPac Review, at least one American middle school teacher fancies herself above the law, and there's ample video to prove it. In an effort to make a political point, Shane Promley refused to cooperate with Border Patrol agents at a checkpoint in New Mexico. Parmley was eventually detained for over an hour after refusing to acknowledge if she was an American citizen. Passengers in the car with Parmley recorded the exchange where an agent first asks citizens, as they roll up to the checkpoint, "Are we crossing a border? I've never been asked if I'm a citizen before when I'm traveling down the road." The two go back and forth before Parmley flat out says she won't answer the agent. "You can ask, but I don't have to answer," she said to the agent about whether or not she is a citizen. He reminded her that that's not the case. "You are required to answer an immigration question," he said.